Hi guys, this is Pestily and welcome to another Escape from Tarkov video. In this video I'm covering the TarkovTV Live podcast, which also had the release of the trailer for patch point 12.7 and the patch notes. There was also some other random points, so I'll bring up all them. So without further ado, let's crack straight into it. So the TarkovTV Live podcast, if you haven't seen one before, it's Nikita and some of his colleagues, and they just hang out in the office and they talk about the upcoming development of Escape from Tarkov. They pretty much covered a few points before getting into the patch notes. One was that he had banned 80,000 people in the last month alone from cheating in Escape from Tarkov, and they're also issuing 3, 4, and 6 month bans, which there wasn't much explanation on that, but they are doing that. They did release the trailer for point 12.7 as well. I'll put a link down below. You'll see some of the clips from it during this video, I'm sure, but there'll be a link down below to the Battlestate Games YouTube channel where you can get the full trailer there if you want to see it. It did show off, however, the noob tube, the 40mm, also the custom expansion and the scav boss, which is located on resort, cottages, and pier on Shoreline. Nikita brought up the point as well as Spotify is now available in Russia, so he's setting up his music to be available on Spotify, as there's a lot of people requesting that music. As for the patch notes, there is a massive list for the patch notes. I'll put a link down below for that, but I'm going to go through the major points right now, starting off with the customs expansion. Now, this expansion was it's quite large. It's meant to be about 30 to 40% of the map, and there is a lot of new things that are going to be added to it. There's going to be fixed mounted guns. The scav boss is also going to be able to spawn in this new area. And there was a few things we were actually able to note during that podcast. Actually, there was a new extract for the map, ZB013, if I remember rightly. And there's also a new jump over. So previously there was like a broken rock for new gas where you'd want to jump over the fence. It's kind of been moved now. I don't know if you're still going to be able to jump over, but yeah, definitely going to be some new exciting parts to that map. For the scav boss on Shoreline, Sanitar, he's going to have available on him all his new stims, and there are a lot of them. There's 7 new stims, and we've got screenshots for 6 of them. They range from giving like plus 10 strength, 20 or 30 endurance, and being able to have faster stamina recovery, to also being able to have like 50% expanded backpack space. Some of them are absolutely crazy. During the podcast as well, they were playing the game and showing off these stims going off, and the amount you could actually jump was ridiculous. And I've been told that they're not meant to stack that much. There's meant to be like a hard cap on being able to get to like 51 strength, and you're not going to be able to jump as high as that. So apparently that was a bug. Hopefully that's how it is. And yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Otherwise, it looks like you can moon jump pretty much onto anything if you pop all the stims, which would make it really cool because you go to new areas because of it, but it'd also be quite broken. As for the scav boss himself, he wears a like blue jacket, he carries a med bag, and it looks like he's located between cottages, the docks, and also the pier, and also in the resort. And you'll have his minions with him. He's going to be able to heal his minions, and yeah, it's going to be a really exciting battle. They didn't want to show off too much on that, but you will be able to see some of it during the trailer. There's also going to be a new quest or 2 for Shoreline, and they are going to be based around the scav boss as well, but there's no further information on that. Nikita didn't want to let that go. The system for reporting suspicious players is going to be implemented on patch point 12.7 as well. So at the end of a raid, if you die, or what, I don't know if it's going to be when you die or at the end of a raid, any bugs or unacceptable nicknames or people that you think might be cheating, you are going to be able to report that stuff. But this won't be dictating who gets banned or not. It's just going to help with the information on finding out suspicious players and patterns for cheaters. There's going to be a heap of changes with the AI in their behavior, and it's going to actually make it really difficult to understand if they're actually friendly or hostile. Scavs are going to be able to now pick up guns from other scavs that are dead or other players that are dead. They're going to aim at you if you're a scav as well, and just, you know, suss you out if you're going to be friendly or not. They'll be drinking and eating. They're actually going to make it a lot more realistic on how they actually act, and they're also going to avoid dangerous areas. They're not going to stay out in the open. They're going to stay behind cover in more tactical locations. So it's going to be interesting where that goes. As for new weapons, there's going to be the FN GL40 grenade launcher. This is a standalone grenade launcher, and they'll be able to like shoot. There's heaps of new rounds for it. It looked like there was like 5 or 6 different rounds, being from HE, HEDP, and also buckshot. And they're going to have different arming distances and explosion radiuses. An arming distance is pretty much how long it goes before it actually becomes explosive. So when you shoot it, it could be like 12 meters, it could be 20 meters. We saw footage inside factory and it looked really close. So realistically, I think if I remember right, it's like 15 to 27 meters for an arming distance for a 40 mil from my experience, but it's different for every single type of round as well. But it could be, you know, we'll have to wait and see with that. I feel like it needs to be a bit of range, otherwise it's going to be pretty crazy. He was just walking around factory, hip firing and destroying all the scavs that are on there. There's also the Mossberg 590A1 shotgun. This just looks like another pump action shotgun, but it looks pretty cool. So it'd be a bit of fun there. As for the new ammo, there is heaps of new ammo. Starting off at the top with the .366 AP. This isn't an ammo that exists in real life. Nikita spoke about this previously. He wanted to have a round for the Vepa 209 that would be able to be viable later on in the game. And he said that it's going to have something like 90 damage with 42 to 45 pen. So that is actually going to be able to one-shot people up until quite high armors, which is crazy. It's going to be like the new meta potentially. So I'm excited because it's going to make, you know, different variants of guns become fun, but who knows where it's going to go. It could actually be quite crazy, and I don't know if that will get adjusted in the future. They've added 3 new .45 ammunitions, being an AP round and then a couple of hollow points. It's going to be interesting how that will be worked, as you know, the pistol at the moment is actually going to be quite lethal. There was different clips and imagery of the 1911 and being able to have like 11 round mags in it and some modifications, which is going to be pretty cool with that. But also when the Vector comes along later on with the .45. Touching on the 7.62x51 M993, he said this is going to be more damaging, like more powerful than the M61. So it's going to be the most powerful round in the game. To my understanding, there might be one round for the 7.62x54 that might be more powerful, but I'm pretty sure if the 993 is more powerful than the M61, I think it's probably going to be the meta round for the most damage with highest pen kind of thing. But we'll have to wait and see with that. I also want to touch on with the grenade launcher that it's apparently going to be quite expensive and the rounds are going to be very expensive. And he said it's not going to be easy to use. Now, I can believe it being expensive. I can believe the rounds being expensive. But I was watching them use it in the game and he was hip firing and hitting every scav that he aimed at. The blast radius doesn't seem to be massive. And if you are behind, say, a step and a little bit of pixel stops it from exploding at you, kind of like how grenades work at the moment, then yeah, that's pretty much how it's going to work. But at the same time, I think this is going to be the easiest way to get kills in the game, if it looks anything like what they showed in the footage. They're also going to add a new icon for when you're getting high packet loss. You might have seen this in other games, so it's not just high ping that's an issue, but packet loss means you're not receiving the data, if I'm not mistaken, and therefore that will be an indicator on if it's on your side instead of server side. And if you're also labeling your containers, you're able to see the name of the containers inside the header of the actual box instead of the actual, like what it is now where it gets cut off. As for the skill system, there are a lot of new skills, or at least changes to the skill system that's going to be happening. The new surgery skill is going to be added, which is going to increase the speed of the surgery kits and reduces the HP penalty of the surgery. The elite level will have no HP penalty for the body part being restored, and also increases the speed to the maximum. We don't know what speed that is, but to get maximum skill level, you need to have level 51. So let me guess, if you got 2 skill points a raid from healing 2 blacked out limbs, this is going to take, like, I don't know, top of my head, 8,000 to 10,000 raids to be able to get to max level. So I don't think many people are going to be able to get that. I don't even think I do 8 to 10,000 raids in a wipe. So unless you're farming this in some way, we'll have to wait and see. But it's not going to be easy to get these skills to max. There's also the new aim drill skill, which is going to be the volume in which you ADS, which is aim down sight, and also the speed in which you aim down sight. There's going to be no, for the elite skill, you're going to have no hand shaking at when you lose your stamina, as well as if you have a fracture or tremor. The strength skill is going to be reworked. They're increasing the weight limit, the speed in which you sprint, the height of the jump, the strength of the grenade throw, and the melee strength, which if that's just saying that it's what the previous skill has done, sweet. If they've actually increased those values, this is going to make strength insanely strong. On top of that, the weight does not include the weapon on the sling and on the back. And you can actually do some sort of like critical hit with the melee attack. It says melee attack can be stronger than usual. So I'll have to wait and see with that. With the rework of the endurance skill, increases the feet stamina, reduces the stamina consumption for jumping, increases hold breath time when ADS, and increases the speed of breath recovery, which is exactly what it says right now. But also, on top of that, it has, for elite skill, maximum increase in breathing recovery rate. Breathing is no longer dependent on energy and increases stamina reserve, which to my understanding, is exactly the same as before, but maybe they changed the values of it. I don't really know, but we'll have to wait and see. Potentially the breathing is no longer dependent on energy. Might be something that's new. It says here various fixes and old skills, which we don't have any idea what that means, but they've added 5 health points to the chest zone, making it from 80 to 85, which means unless you're using 7N1 rounds on a Mosin SVD or whatever other guns use that ammo at the moment, SV98, you're not going to be able to one-shot because pretty much every round in the game shoots or does under 85 damage, except for 7N1, some of the Ash 12 ammos, shotgun rounds, and potentially the new 366 AP ammo. So a lot of these rounds are not going to one-shot anymore, increasing time to kill, and it's probably going to be one of the biggest changes of this patch. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. It's going to make a lot of rounds have to do 3 hits to kill instead of 2. Also on top of that, it's going to make it interesting because there's still that critical hit factor or the fractures, which means it does 1.5 times damage. So higher pen ammo is still going to be probably the most viable way of doing it, aiming for the chest and hoping you hit the head. I think that's still going to be the meta, but it should make time to kill that slightly bit longer. As for optimizations and fixes, I'm not going to go through them all. There is heaps. You can go down a link below and check them out yourself. I'll just want to touch on some of the final points being in the changes. You can now examine stuff inside your hideout and it'll be able to examine it nice and quickly. And you won't have to like get bugs and issues. There's a lot of times where you were trying to examine stuff in the hideout and it just would not examine, or if it did, it bugged out. Added displaying time before the bleeding effect disappears in stash. So that's when you like die in a raid and you still got a bleed on you. And then when you get back to the healing screen, it wouldn't have an actual timer on how long till the bleed like finishes. So just to save money on the free heal or the heal at the end. If you're not in a match within 45 minutes of trying to join a match, it's going to stop the search, which is crazy that someone would wait 45 minutes. And they've updated the SV98 and the Pupper Shaft animations and how they are held inside the menus. Now that was the end of the patch notes and he went through all of them, I've tried to hit every major point. On top of that, there's also going to be in the future in some point, this is not with patch point 12.7, they're going to do highlighted areas on the maps, because the question came up, is the maps going to have any sort of relevance in the game, as the maps are currently kind of trash at the moment. And Nikita said that if you don't want to use YouTube videos or Wikipedia pages to find out how to do a quest, in the future, the map will actually show you where your quest is kind of located, where the item is located, to include in that map for the immersion of that. He also touched on VoIP, saying it's a questionable mechanic, but it will be added eventually and they want to make sure they do a right job of it, but it's going to be very difficult. And he also said that eventually they're going to have some sort of new lobby system where you're going to be able to join your mates' parties and you actually see what kind of loot they have on them. Now, there was a lot of major points here, and so I wanted to try and touch on all the points as quickly as possible, giving you all the major stuff that you guys want to know about without having to watch the podcast or read all the patch notes. So hopefully this was helpful. I'm going to wrap this one up here. So if you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash the shit out of the like button. It really does help out with the YouTube algorithm. If you know anyone's YouTube video that you enjoy, smash it. It really does help out. Subscribe for future content. I am trying to pump out all the content I can at the moment with the raid episode and all the other stuff I've really got going on. There's a lot. And lastly, guys, I'll see you next time.